the book, This Book is Gay. And amongst them was John O'Donovan. And I want to talk to John because he can maybe fill in some of the gaps for me, fill in some of the blanks. John, good morning.
Morning, Neil. How are you?
I'm good. First of all, you were there. If you were taking a side, which side?
Well, the counter-protest, because I don't believe that this explicit material going into the curriculum now for the new school term coming up, and the stuff going into the libraries, I think it's wrong, and I think it's taking away the innocence of children, right? Especially the section that was put in first day ever.
I know. I wouldn't have put you down as somebody who would be kind of okay with name-calling, though, or going into people's workplaces.
Well, the thing is, going into people's workplaces, you see this term paedophile has been thrown around. Now, I've seen all the Facebook stuff there, and at no stage the library stuff did I hear or see anyone being called a paedophile. Right?
No, and listen, can I just say again, the word pervert has been used in the library setting. The word paedophile, I have not been able to find being used.
Yeah, neither have I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, the thing is, as a girl's going in to the library, it's a public library, and you must ask yourself one question here, right? In any form of protest, somebody is going to be discommoded. It's like Irish water. We didn't like upsetting the workers, but we had to stop the work, which affected the workers, right? But that's the way it had to play out. Otherwise, we'd be paying water charges now. It's the same with the library. I know the lads, they're decent men behind the law, and they're completely exercised as regards this stuff being taught to children at a very young age, taking away their innocence, right? Yeah. These guys could have other stuff to do, these guys are doing this because they're so exercised about it, and they feel nobody's listening.
Okay.
Now, getting back to what happened on Friday.
Thank you.
The sermon that you were on about there, that is belongs to a certain political party who you have a facility and all these load-healers that you can operate a CERN. That wasn't the CERN belonged to an ambulance or Gardaí or anything.
Thank you for clarifying. That was not an emergency services siren.
No. That was deliberately done the way when the counter-protest started speaking, which I said a few words that. The thing is that to drown the counter-protest out completely between screaming and roaring and the CERN from the load-healer, they try to drown out anyone with any counter.
Well, they did a damn good job of drowning them out, yeah?
Well, they did, but you see, these other people in there on about rights and everything. So where's the democracy and where's the rights for the counter-protest? Last time I looked, we lived in the democracy still anyway, at least some form of it. But the whole thing is that...
did any of the group that you were with, a much smaller number incidentally, did they try and interrupt? Did the other side speak?
Well, they did. They were speaking, but anytime then that the counter-protest, tried to start somebody, they kept the siren going again constantly and hectic and shouting. And then I think that you said to describe by own English there that there was a kind of a minor incident, right? Well, the minor incident was when people, one individual especially came out of the crowd and tried to grab a guy called Philip the Wire, who was a very expensive camera. Was documenting the whole thing for the counter-protesters, right? And it was trying to be grabbed out of his hand and smashed, and it was only pure luck that they were restrained and pulled away, and then the Gardaí got involved. But you may be damn well sure, Neil, if that was the other side, if the counter-protesters had touched any of their equipment, it wouldn't be described by your own English then as a minor incident.
And nobody from the group that you were with did any of that?
None whatsoever. They didn't go next to anyone. They kept their distance. They kept their speeches. I was asked to say a few words. What I did say was that, look, this has nothing to do with the library workers. This has nothing to do with the LGBT movement, right? This is all about the protection of children and the type of materials going into libraries, into a section of the libraries where it shouldn't be, and also into
their argument that it is grooming children. That's the argument, that it's grooming children.
Well, I can see where they're going with that.
So,
you know what I mean?
Okay, so... just to be clear on this, there was a siren being used by a political party. You're saying? What?
Yeah, well, I believe it was belonged to a political party who turned up at the opening of an envelope. You know what I mean? They could get a vote out of it. You know, and you know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm talking about Mick Barry's crowd, and I'm talking about Sinn Féin as well. Thomas Gould was there, right? Thomas Gould was on the accord and on about bullying. But Thomas Gould wanted to look closer to home. There's 13 members of Sinn Féin, mostly predominantly women, have left Sinn Féin.
Yeah.
Councillors,
I know. But neither Mick Barry nor Tom Gould or any of the names you've mentioned had a siren.
Well, it came from in that group.
In that group, yeah, okay.
In
All
that
right,
group,
okay.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay. So at that stage then, it just kind of dissipated and people went their separate ways.
Yeah, and again, the reporting that there was 500 on the march. There wasn't 500 on that march. I was there, I saw it. There was no 500 on that march. There was lucky if there was 250 on it, even 200. Again, the bias supporting. Again, you're describing an incident. There's a minor incident, but you may be damn well sure to be in the front of the airport, probably.
But here's the problem. If people are rallying, that's all very well, and people then have cameras and mobile phones, and they're filming people rallying or protesting. Some people will find that antagonistic because they know then that their faces and the video is going to be shared online in a negative way.
Well, you see, the trouble with any form of protest, I said, Neil, somebody is going to be discommoded, right? If the lads in 1916 had stayed inside in bed just Sunday morning, the Union Jack would be still flying over the City Hall and Collins Barracks. Only they took the ultimate protest and they paid the ultimate price.
You're not making a comparison to those freedom fighters back in 1916.
Well, I'm making the comparison, like, I mean, of the rights of the innocence of children. There's an awful lot of parents out there. I speak to the grandparents, I speak to parents, and they're totally against what's going into libraries and what's going into the school year coming up as regards their children. The only one.
But if that was the case, why was there such a tiny turnout for the counter-protest?
But you see, that's the problem. Like, I mean, what is wrong with people? Why aren't the people outside the schools, like, I mean, and demonstrate? But see, everyone is waiting for somebody else to start something all the time. It was the same as the water. You were with us in that, Neil, right? It took a small group of answers now to kickstart the whole country. Somebody has to start this. And unfortunately, somebody is going to get discommoded. I don't want this, like, there was no library workers assaulted or threatened or anyone went up to us where they were living outside their front doors or anything. These guys went in. They have an agenda as regards getting the stuff out of the libraries. They're against what's going into the schools. And under a democracy, they're quite entitled to do that.
Okay, and this is far from over then. The protests will continue, will they?
Well, I would say so. And I would encourage people, like, I mean, if you have your children going to school, whether you're a grandparent or a parent, I mean, make your opinion.
No, I know that, but they had an opportunity on Friday and people didn't. But are you saying that the protesters will continue to film staff in the workplace?
I would say, well, I mean, I can't speak for them this morning, but I mean, okay. Like, I mean, I can't see this thing just going away overnight.
I'm just being told here that Owen English put up a video that clearly shows a man in a Forza high-vis jacket with a megaphone that was playing the siren. Would that make sense?
Well, I mean, that could be, I mean, yeah, but I mean, who gave him the siren? I mean, and if he was playing it, okay. Like, I mean, they're on about being bullying and intimidated, so if it was a Forza member, right? But aren't they doing the same thing by putting on this high-pitched siren, drowning out a counter-protest?
Okay, well said. Thank you for that. Much obliged. Johnny, good morning.
I'm going.
Go ahead, my man. Go ahead.
Well, and that siren, like, the guys could have gone out. They were polluting the sound with that siren, and only when we were speaking. And not one guard went over and asked them to turn off the siren.
You may not like what people have to say, but one would have to defend your right to say it.
Yeah, but there was so many guards. When a guard go over to that person and say, you need to turn off that.
This is the sound of summer on Prime Video.
That they were trying to conceal payments. RT acknowledged. Could some of those children be definitely to vulnerable young people? Thank you so much for taking the call, Mary. Morning, Neil. Speaking of films like you were and yet done so far, and I absolutely adore how proud we are of them. So if it happens, it happens. But it isn't as if who read it. If they have any morals at all, they will hang their heads in shame for having supported pornography aimed at children. They are defending the indefensible. It's an interesting point of view, actually, that the message sometimes gets lost in how it's delivered, I suppose. And, you know, the vulnerability of our children is a serious problem. And you saw that from the report from UCD this morning regarding the grooming of young children in Tuslacare by men and gangs of men. Another person actually takes umbrage to anybody who protests being labelled as far right. The protesters regarding the library are not far right. They are concerned parents. I'm sick to death of people being called far right for standing up for the country and their children. Why did reporters in your piece not talk to anybody from the counter-protest? Love the show, says Mary Jane. Well, perhaps they did, but I didn't get that audio if it was done. I only got the audio that I could work with. I can go back and see if there is other audio if you wish. It's very interesting, though, when you talk about people standing up for their country and their children, and people being labelled as far right. I think everybody has a right to protest. They also have a right to have their voice heard. And this siren that was used at the protest so that the opposing protesters could not be heard, I think that was a low blow. I think that was unfair. I think the only real issue, I mean, if you were to ask me, is the filming of people in the workplace up close and personal into their face. But you're right in a democracy to protest, should be protected. But the filming up close, I think that probably is a little bit going too far. The place was swarming with Gardaí on Friday. Once the library staff protest left to march, the Gardaí left as well. So much for the far right being a dangerous bunch. I note that your correspondent, John O'Donovan, was making a speech on Friday supporting those terrorising library staff. Strange that. One other one here. Why do you constantly entertain the likes of John O'Donovan? He's a bandwagon jumper, the greatest of all time. Once they agree with his sense of Christianity, he jump into bed with anyone, says Paul in Mayfield. But again, people are entitled to have a point of view. People are entitled to protest. You also forget that even though if John O'Donovan doesn't float your boat all of the time, he was front and central back in the day of the water charges protests. And that was a battle that was won by protesters. Either way, we're back after 10. Now.
For more Red FM.
But genuinely, all that is by the by. I mean, as annoying as all that is, the one all I really wanted to come on to today, just to use yourself to let...
Thanks for laying it out for us this morning. Have a good day. That's Frank Graney, the court's correspondent. As a lawyer, I checked and...
From the corridors doing their homework.
Oh, say to people that the new prison, in inverted commas, is now also full, that what we need to do is open the old one again, no?
The old one has gone past its use. Yeah, I'll see what I can.
But this is what we face, Ogun. It's not.
So give it the good use.
Another prison, again as.
Apartments is a typical example. Way up, fabulous lighting.
Cork people, is it?
The phone lines we go. Text 0868 104 106. Pick up the phone on 0818 104 106. Finbarr, good morning.
Morning.
Good idea? Bad idea? What?
Good idea. She wants to put Irish people, Cork people, is it, into the jail? Is it?
Don't know that anybody mentioned where they'd be from, just that they'd be in homeless.
Well, no matter what, it's where she's talking about Irish people. Yes, I didn't hear of nothing. None of them, there, your man that was there, just down here. Why didn't they put them down to the hubs down there, man?
The ones that were built, the modular homes for Ukrainians?
Yes. No one going against them, don't bother. Leave the Irish on the road.
Well, these...
They want to get the priorities right. What is she championing all the time? All the Ukrainians?
No, she's not championing all the Ukrainians. Penny Dinners doesn't operate on a policy of your nationality.
Every nationality, they are the Irish.
No, nobody...
They are the Irish.
Nobody said...
They're traitors, the whole lot of them.
Nobody said anything about where you'd be from, say, for instance, to get an apartment there.
Stop now. Take off to what's in the blinkers over here. Stop.
Right.
Don't be stop now, Neil. Stop by, will you?
All right. Okay.
Don't be trying to fool me around here. I come on here to tell you and tell people what I think.
I understand.
This is my opinion.
I understand that you're entitled to say what you think, but I'm just...
listening there this morning, and your man above there, this lawmayor, how did he get in?
How did he get in where?
He voted on.
What's that got to do? Yeah, well, no, I mean, if you're asking the question, it comes round to the different parties. It's kind of cyclical.
No, it did not. It was a vote. He was nominated by who? Your dear friend. Who was he nominated by?
Who?
By the board, Shanahan. He nominated him, and he fell an independent second.
But that doesn't matter. We need to have a Lord Mayor, and it goes through all of the parties and then the independents. That's how it works.
No.
Anyway, can I just...
When's the last time you champagne? Chef Callan?
I'll have to I'll have to check the dates on that one, but everybody's supposed to get a shot.
There's only four parties there, like.
Yeah, but Ciara McCarthy's independent. Anyway, that's a different topic for a different day.
Counting four parties still.
Yeah. So your point is that Ukrainians get lovely new homes in Mahon, and Irish people get prison cells.
My God, wouldn't it be great? You came on this morning there, like you said yesterday. I'm delighted for his son and mother. got a plate if you opened the door this morning and they'll have their own food.
Yeah.
Isn't it great to say that?
Yeah.
Why can't you say that about an else person?
Because I have no control over the building of modular houses. That came from central government.
Can you say that this morning about an Irish couple going into the home like that?
But you're right. I mean, we talk about the plight of Irish people all of the time. All of the time. I was talking about the cost of food this morning.
Yeah, but they're sitting down there, modules, done for who? Ukrainians, they never paid a penny to this country. Nothing.
But that wasn't anything to do with us making that decision. That's the government that we elect decided to do this.
But I say the same to them, they're traitors.
Yeah, well.
Your man Martin, he's the biggest traitor going.
Why?
I know what he's doing. All he wanted was to do the T-shirt, and all he is he's only a half one. A half. I'll tell you what he does. Or he don't care. I'll take the half one. That means I got in history. That's all he was worried about.
But hold on here. If they take a prison that's closed 7 years and derelict and do it up, right? And build apartments in there with bathrooms and kitchens and play areas for the children and put families in there. There will be people from all walks of life and all nationalities. It's not.
You should have covered yourselves and straight away.
No, but I mean, there will be Irish families in there.
Yeah, well, they give me the key to the big gate outside, is it?
Well, I mean, it would be a good job done, it. Do you know what I mean?
Why should the Irish people wait on that? When they're down there, they're down built in order, down, man.
They are built, yeah, that was right.
Yeah.
And many people got.
Why can't they put them in there?
Many people got angry because they were specifically built for Ukrainian refugees.
Yeah. That's
we're blue in the face, Finbarr saying for months and months and months.
They're traitors.
All right.
Blacked out the whole lot of them are traitors. To the Irish people.
All right.
Traitors.
Okay.
They went out there, I tell them, Coveney, they went out to commemoration there for Michael Collins. Why Christ, he looked up and he see what he see in front of him. You know, it's a disgrace.
If you were around today, I often wonder what you'd make of it.
If he looked up and what was up over him, hypocrites up over him standing, when I see them, and they go up and they're crazy marching up.
Okay.
My Christ, that man haven't had some... I can't wait for one of their crowd to come to my door. I throw a bucket of piss and have them.
Charm.
My Christ, I done it to the Western End, Mick Barry's crowd. He was doing a lot of things for me. I do this. My Christ, there was a Norway fellow came the following year for that, and I told him to do it himself. 11 o'clock at night.
They called to the door. Okay.
11 o'clock at night.
All right. Okay. Did you get everything off? Did you get everything off your chest?
No, I tell you, there's a lot more still on them shoulders. I'm bearing a lot of things on them shoulders.
All right,
I'm fairly strong.
All right.
All right,
bye.
Enjoy your day.
Take care, Finbarr. Cheers for now. Take care. Text 0868 104 106. Pick up the phone on 0818 104 106. But, no matter what you look at, we were talking about dereliction yesterday. You can throw the old Cork jail into the list of derelict buildings. Free Food Friday shout-outs, please, if you don't mind. Courtesy...
For more Red FM podcasts, go to Red.
Dean Street, Cattle Market Avenue and others. And I give you one example. The Minister of the Council for the no maintenance
funding out of and continue more. The department has a number of...
I became a councillor in 2009. You talk about preventive maintenance, planned maintenance, deep retrofitting. There's been no maintenance, planned maintenance or preventive maintenance done in Cork since I became a councillor in 2009. There has been none. None. So you're coming in here and you're giving us an answer. There has been no funding to Cork City Council for their works to be carried out. I remember being on the chair of the House of Meeting of Cork City Council and told it to be every 3 years. Then it was told to be every 5 years. And then because of cuts, because of the financial crisis, there was no maintenance. Minister, it's time now for stop messing around. The people in Noonan's Road, not only Noonan's Road, but Clash Dove, Dean Street, Cattle Market Avenue and others. And I'll give you one example. There was a similar flat complex on Baker's Road that was retrofitted about 10 or 12 years ago, and they're now back in the same condition. There's only one answer here, a full regeneration of that area. And as Donegal Lera said, the next time you're in Cork, you and Minister O'Brien need to come down and see what these people are living in.
Minister, respond.
Thank you, as I said in my response, the department has
Not yet received a funding application in this particular project, and obviously we can't ascertain or put a figure on what needs to be done when we haven't received.
At the top of Cullihill Mountain for Christmas dinner 1 year. So we were like pretty much without a pick.
Boot of your car.
Morning.
Well, we brought meats. The dishwasher. As a survey mission chips at the 8 view across the cove. Philip talks about Gould. I was asking the quick fit in one of these small gas canisters. I mentioned that pressure will return for what time I have left. I see Carlo Weather this morning are tweeting that there's good news on the horizon, lads. There's good news. High pressure brings lovely weather, and Carlo Weather are suggesting that around about the 21st of the month, high pressure will return, and it should bring back some more beautiful weather. I don't know whether it'll be anything like the weather we had for 2 or 3 weeks recently, but certainly things will change in about 9-10 days' time. So something to look forward to. I mentioned that because at the weekend I bought one of these single gas hobs, right? It comes in its own case. It's a funky little dude of a thing. And into the side of it, you just punch in, or you don't punch in, you just fit in one of these small gas canisters, €35, $3.50 for each one of the canisters. And off you go to have your own picnic. And we did at the bottom of Brayhead in Valencia. We brought sausages and chicken sausages and fried some eggs and had fresh bread, and it was lovely. I was asking the question earlier, it was a beautiful morning, a Sunday morning to do it. I was asking the question as where's the best picnic spot in Cork? Got a massive response to it. Here are a few. Doneraile Park, Fort Carlisle, proudly looking out over the whole harbour from a height. Gougambara, which actually, if hand on heart, would be my favourite place personally to have a picnic. The Bells Field with the best view of the city, says Terry. Anne says Whitegate. They even have lots of seats and a great view across the cove. Philip talks about Gary Vaux. You'd be hard pressed. Annie says Lep, the beautiful area right next to the sea. Ballynana Woods, says Bridget in Middleton. Fota Gardens or the Knockadoon Cliff Walk with some fish and chips at the end. I'll have more of those for you, but what should you bring on a picnic? I mean, what do you typically have as part of your picnic? I mention that because apparently picnics are getting posher. There's a survey out now in the UK recently that said that the humble sausage roll no longer cuts the mustard as the Brits turn their noses up on traditional picnic fare in favour of healthy salads, sparkling wine and deli meats. The days are gone of the cheese sandwich, the warm lemonade, the squashed crisps. They're deemed to be old-fashioned. Warm cans of beer, even flasks of tea are out, and plastic cutlery. Well, we brought a flask of tea on Sunday morning, and it was the nicest tea I ever had. I said I would turn to the go-to guru of all things culinary, and that is the one and only Darina Allen, who joins me by phone. Darina, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. What a build-up.
One of the reasons I wanted to get in touch with you as well is because there's a lovely piece involving your good self in RSVP magazine, where you say that in the boot of your car, you keep an old frying pan, firelighters, a packet of kindling, a box of matches, and some newspaper to build a little fire. Is that right?
That's right. I know. Actually, people who know me know I never leave home pretty much without a picnic, even if I'm going on the train or if I'm travelling or anything. I come from a long line of picnickers. My mother literally had a picnic on Christmas Day up at the top of Cullihill Mountain for Christmas dinner 1 year. So we totally love it. But my picnics are not posh picnics now. I love just a lovely simple picnic with some lovely fresh things and so on.
So you keep all of that in the boot in case the urge comes upon you, is it?
Absolutely. You never know when. And often as well, I don't know what you call these things properly, but I often have a granny trolley, what I call a granny trolley, in the boot of the car as well. It's kind of a roll, one of those roll-along deep shopping bag things, in case I want to take off up a hill or into a wood or somewhere. You can put the whole lot that into that and wheel it along, and there you are. It's easier, much easier than schlepping, heavy baskets around and so on.
You say that you like to keep them simple, but the article then goes into an incredible amount of detail. If I was to go through everything that you suggest.
Oh, you mean the RSVP article?
Yeah.
I mean, have a look at it now. It's all very simple stuff, actually. It really is. I mean, I love to, if you have even a good loaf of, if you make I don't know, maybe it sounds rather whatever, but I often make just put a little loaf of soda bread into the oven, and that only takes 5 minutes or 10 minutes less than that to make, actually, and scones are out in 10 minutes. I mean, then a little bit of butter with that. You could just have tomatoes, a bunch of radishes, a piece of gooey cheese or something. Even that would get you started. And or then I love if you have a bit of smoked mackerel, maybe a bit of smoked duck. That sounds much posher. That lovely smoked duck from Umara Smokehouse down there near Timoleague. I love that as well. But then the other thing that's absolutely super, if you've got lots of people with you, put a chicken into the oven and roast it, and while you're getting your other things ready and so on, and time it so that it just comes out of the oven just before you leave. And I mean, what's more delicious than a sort of just a still lovely and juicy chicken with a bowl of mayo? And,
however,
wouldn't that be lovely now?
it is. But I would suggest that pan-fried sausages in the outdoors would be hard to beat.
Yeah. Well, look there. I mean, absolutely. That's what I very often. You have to be just going back to my fire. One has to be super careful, of course, where you light a fire. So often, it would be make a little circle of stones, maybe just below the cliffs there in Ballyandrina or somewhere, and just build up a little fire and cook sausages. Oh my God, a bit of good mustard, and they taste so much better when you're outdoors, don't they?
Yeah. What I got is one that I bought it for €35 and $3.50 for the gas. It comes in its own box. It's got its own regulator and its own sparker and everything. It's the job, and away you go.
Yes, absolutely. Well, my simple thing was just literally my rolled up sports page and something or other just to light a little bit of kindling to light the fire. That works great too. And then if you even have some fresh fruit, some lovely cherries or strawberries, something. Do you know what I sometimes do with the strawberries? I bring a little bowl of whipped cream and some caster sugar, and people pick up a strawberry, dip it in the whipped cream, and then dip it into caster sugar, and that's delicious too. And just some good crackers. I love streaky bacon, so sometimes I cook a piece of streaky bacon, put a lovely sugary top with some cloves on it, and anything that hasn't seen the fridge, says me. This is going to sound the opposite of what everybody's told. But, if it's just freshly cooked, take it out, put it, you're only going somewhere for a couple of hours, and it's still just lovely and juicy, and maybe even, if you're not going very far, slightly warm.
Yeah.
I mean, how delicious.
Yeah,
and then a pot of Ballymaloe relish or something, says me.
They're talking about things being warm, though. The days now, according to the survey, of soggy sandwiches and warm cans of beer.
We don't love sandwiches for picnics. Just bring lovely fresh bread, and because the sandwiches do get soggy.
They do.
But I'll tell you what, there's another gorgeous thing that my mother-in-law, Myrtle Allen, showed me how to make years ago. Now, this takes a bit of an effort. You take a lovely pan loaf, really good quality pan loaf, cut off half cut the top off it so that it's still attached to the bottom of the loaf. Take out the middle and then slice that into slices, butter it, and then make sandwiches, and then fill them back into the loaf, and you make it what we call a chest of sandwiches. So you have a complete picnic in a loaf, and that's really, really.
It's a long way from the sliced pan and the cooked ham, isn't it?
Oh no, we're not having sliced pan, and we're not having that ham either. We certainly are not.
What about? We're actually doing stuff at the moment on actually the makeup, the meat content of sausages. They can be as high as 46%, and as low as 46% pork, and as high as like 75 and 80% pork. Do you know what I mean?
I know, and also, it's such a business now trying to get really good rashers and really good sausages anymore. But sausages do need to have quite a nice, to be juicy, they need obviously a fat content. They sometimes a good fat content in them, like really good pork, and they also need to have some crumb. But my goodness, they need to have plenty of pork in them.
They do. I mean, extraordinarily enough, the Aldi sausage has 80% pork in it, and yet if you look then at Galty, they can have as much as 50% pork in it. Do you know what I mean? The difference.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether we're allowed to mention things, but I actually, the Clonakilty.
Yeah, I would like you to mention one if you're recommending a good sausage.
We get them in our lovely local shop here in Shanagary, and they're as a basic breakfast sausage. They're nice and juicy, lovely to cook with a little bit of mustard. I have no connection, but you mentioned some brands. So I just say often they're
listen, we want to hear what you would recommend.
And then Caharbeg, they also make lovely sausages.
They do,
as well.
and beautiful rashers also. Yeah.
And you know the other thing that's lovely to bring this, because simple to make it easy so you can get out of the house, is watermelon. If you have one of those picnic boxes with some ice or ice packs in it, bring a watermelon, and that can be cut into chunks and be chilled. And it's lovely to have. And homemade lemonade, or a nice lemonade, or a chilled rosé, or some elderflower.
That's what they're saying, that the flask is gone and it's been replaced, apart from whoever is driving, with sparkling wine, for instance, and Prosecco.
Oh yeah, no, but I like my flask too. I love to bring a little tea with me. I had some boiling water and some. I'm a leaf tea person, but I always bring Barry's tea bags too. Gosh, what are we like? Shameless mentioning brands. We're not supposed to do that.
Well, we're proud of them because they're Cork. Why wouldn't we mention them? So, do you have a particular favourite spot before I let you go?
Well, basically, they're lovely places everywhere. So but I do go out of my way. I have to say, sometimes drive everybody mad driving a bit further to find, another nice place I love by a river, or
always searching for the next place
in the woodland or by the sea, or somewhere where obviously you feel that you're connected to nature and all of that, and somewhere beside a hedgerow or something. So I will go on, but it doesn't have to be necessarily. A lot of those places you mentioned earlier are just the most gorgeous places, but I really want to be away from other people. I want to find a little corner somewhere in the field or beside a little babbling brook or something.
Well said.
Preferably.
Well
anyway,
said. Well, the word out at the moment now is that it'll improve again in 10 days.
Always have a picnic basket in the boot of your car. You never know when you're going to need it.
Well said, as Darina Allen would say, be prepared. Thanks,
Never
Darina.
leave home without a picnic. Yeah.
Take care. Take care. We were looking at different sausage content recently. I may come back to this tomorrow, but just some of the ones that we looked at. Thank you, Darina. Marks and Spencer's, their Irish pork sausage, 78.
I'm sick of saying how dare they. But I went down there on Saturday, Neil, myself, to have a look at this particular infertile piece of land. It was 10 o'clock Saturday morning. Sun was
at the hands of predatory men. The group of men grooming these girls in Middleton tomorrow. Right here.
I just want to say that I'm just totally grateful to what William is doing. It's a great...
We need to come to know that saying the money is here. It's no point having the money in the bag when the people need homes now. And we'll do everything with the councillors. With Fiona only making all the local councillors to do our best. It's right. It's right.
People Power Boys. I love it. So that's a meeting. There'll be a local area council meeting to be arranged on this.
I was not overpaid by RT at any point. I fully accept I'm very, very well paid. I understand that. But I was fully paid in accordance with my contract, which my agent negotiated openly and honestly and in good faith. There are no overpayments. Now, there are RTs under declarations, which we challenged them on back in 2020. And there are indeed RTs over declarations, of which they actually paid me in 2020 and 2021. This has caused justifiable anger among my colleagues. I understand that. And we're going to deal with all of that in the next few hours, and indeed the next 6 hours or more. We'll stay for as long as it takes. The upshot of RT's inaccurate declarations is an impression that I have been less than honest. This is not the case. The fourth untruth is that I was aware that RTE were trying to conceal payments to me. This is not true. I was not aware that RTE were concealing payments to me. RTE acknowledged this in their statement of June 22nd, 2023, when they stated that Grant Thornton had made no findings against me. The fifth untruth: there was a secret agreement with Renault that I tried to conceal. This is not true. But not only that, it bears belief. Think about it. I had a separate commercial agreement with Renault, the basis of which was that I would make public appearances and perform road shows and things for them. And the work that I've done for Renault is all over social media. The suggestion that was a secret makes no sense. The sixth untruth: that RT's underwriting of Renault's payment obligations was a secret. This is not true. RT's underwriting of Renault's payment obligations was not a secret, as the documents we've prepared for you today show. And as my agent will explain in more detail,
feeling the chilled vibe of summer and tasting the crisp.
And in the car, known drug dealer at the car. Judge said it merited a custodial sentence. all the way. From time to time, maybe, Barbie exists and you making the curfews. And that's when the cars are being stolen in the rural area, their families through the estate, the wheelker, and joyriding. Unmerciful story about a man who was the figures for television yet. Okay, fair play. I didn't see that in the papers. One of the suburbs of Cork are received, be sure. Right, to the phone lines we go to moment. Text 0868 104 106. And I wanted to go back and talk about Japanese imports and the theft of them, because it is just, there's an unmerciful spate of robberies at the moment. And from one of the suburbs of Cork, I received a letter by post. It says, firstly, I'd like to say that we thoroughly enjoy your show. This letter is about the ongoing recent spate of car theft and joyriding and drug dealing and criminality in the Toker area by gangs of teenagers 15 plus, and indeed older teenagers that call themselves the T12 gang, taken from our air code in Toker. They also call themselves Toker Hottest. Their videos go online on TikTok, and the guards are aware of the videos, I'm led to believe. We saw at Dean Rock in Toker a young boy in a white car spinning the wheels on the grassy area where the bonfire would be, and some young boys cheering him on, thinking that it was great that the car is chasing the young boys around the grass. It was a stolen car. They drove through the estate. It's obvious it's summertime and schools are closed. And it's only a matter of time out here before an innocent child or person is seriously injured. Kids can't play. Anyone living in this area will know the individuals driving the car and their families. I know you probably won't read this out, but the ferocious crash in Mitchelstown almost killed that innocent woman. Yes, it did. One young boy died there. There was about 5 stolen cars involved in that general area that night. And the young boys and girls were all part of that T12 or Toker Hottest TikTok gang. Some of those boys are on 10 o'clock curfews and constantly breaking the curfews. And that's when the cars are being stolen. The guards are aware that they're breaking their curfews, but I know the guards can only call once. Really? They're out of control. Parents are not interested in what their children do. They don't care what damage they're doing to other people's property as long as it's not theirs. They don't care about the community they're living in. They enjoy the fact that the guards' hands are tied because of the kids' ages. And people are terrified in the Toker area that an innocent person will get hurt. The stolen cars are used for dealing hard drugs around the place as well as joyride because of their age, and their sentences for dealing, if any, will be much less. Maybe the parents' children's allowance damage their sons, or indeed sometimes daughters, are causing. And maybe then, when they go to bed at night, they'll be quick enough to stop their children leaving the home at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. What parent doesn't know where their child is at night? Lock the doors, take the keys. It's as simple as that. Thanks for taking the time to read this letter out. Just call me a concerned Toker citizen. Now, thank you for that. That was a handwritten letter, so my apologies if I stumbled over portions of it. But to those cars, right? the Japanese import. I did mention on the air and spoke with a girl whose cars, and in case you didn't remember, she had like 4 or 5 different cars, either hers or her mother's, stolen, attempted break-ins, smashed windows, on 1 or 2 occasions stolen. And those cars were Japanese imports. I remember asking her if she had known at the time that they didn't have an immobilizer, would she have bought the car? So that was one of the conversations from last week. But immobilizers and Jap imports, or Japanese imports, Kevin Hennessy runs trackandtrace.ie and has the backstory on immobilizers and the Japanese imports, why they don't have immobilizers, why they don't have alarm systems.